say the word bet, usually we're talking about betting on a game or on a horse or something usually associated with gambling. But in this case, we're not talking about that. I'm not talking about that particular as a game or a horse. But to be able to say, you know what, I don't see myself represented, and I'm going to bet on myself. When is the last time we or you bet on yourself? And a lot of times when we look in around situations or rooms or environments and say it lacks representation, we're usually talking about a certain class, a group, sometimes a race, a gender. And in this particular conversation, I have one who took a chance on themselves, wrote themselves in, said, I don't see myself represented. I'm a bet on me. This conversation is one that you should rally your friends. You should send it to about 10 people and say, you need to hear this conversation. I'm talking to the Honorable Judge Melissa Moore Murphy. Of course, she is she's a sister of one of my dear closest friends, but she has known me for many, many years, probably since I was 16 or 17. But she is the embodiment of Uniquely Designed. She has stretched whatever limitations that there were, whatever invisible lines, barriers, and she's moved beyond them. She's more than, as I would say, more than a preacher. She's more than many things. She's not just a wife, a mother, a judge, a preacher. She's continues to evolve. And this conversation is, I think I might have been more inspired by the conversation than she was. But I want you to go ahead and rally your friends. Tell someone, I need you to watch this episode of Uniquely Designed. If you're not inspired by this, you need to check your pulse. I want you to be inspired to bet on yourself, to write yourself in, and to be able to say, you know what? I'm lacking that. They don't know me just yet. I need them to know who I am. So I'm not going to talk anymore. Let's go ahead and let's jump into this week's episode of Uniquely Designed. All right, everybody. I am talking to the Honorable Melissa Moore Murphy, and I apologize because I was supposed to, when a judge comes in, you're supposed to stand.
Please sit down. Stop it.
Thank you. Until they tell you to sit down. So I just want to make sure that I do know protocol for those of you who are watching and are listening. I thank you for being on this podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so grateful.
I am as well. Thank you.
I wanted to talk to you about your journey and how you started. So I know that you're the Honorable Judge now, but you and I both grew up in church. Mm-hmm. I found out a few days ago that we both have a similar saying that we both say that I didn't know that we both said. This is how you know you're in church. For those of you who are not in church, I'll give you an opportunity to give your life to Christ later. But what we learned is that we both have a phrase that we say when we're irritated, when someone is frustrated. Someone's cut us off, or when we can't say what we would like to say, and it's blessed assurance.
Blessed assurance.
I had no clue.
It's the funniest thing. And people now in court, when I say it, they all pop their heads up like, oh, shoot. The judge is mad. And I'm not necessarily mad, but something has happened.
So I want to know, when did you first start saying it? Or how long have you been saying it?
I've been saying it it's been a little bit. Like, I can't even remember. I've been saying it for years, probably at least 5-6 years, if not longer. But of course, having been on the bench, I now say it out loud in front of people that hear it, not on a one-on-one conversation, but now I'm saying it, and there's people sitting in the galley, and there's people, the clerks over here and the probation officer. And so that has been the funniest thing, is that now people recognize when I say it, it's like, oh, something then went wrong, or the judge is about to do something. So had to educate one of my police officer friends. He came up, he's like, I had to actually go look up what it was, and was like, oh, it's a hymn. Oh. He said, I didn't know what you meant by it. And I said, it doesn't mean It doesn't mean what has nothing to do with the song. Yeah. But it is truly, sometimes I even get there, blessed assurance, Jesus is mine.
I don't know where I got it from. And it has nothing, for those of you who know that song, those of you who don't know that song, this is going over your head.
Yeah.
It's a hymn that we grew up singing in the church. But I say it all the time, like, and I don't know where it came from. It just one day someone had done something that I really wanted to say something else, and I just responded and said, "Blessed assurance."
Yeah.
And ever since I've been saying
it's just the thing.
I had no clue.
I know that was so hilarious when you put it in and he texted it. So I was just like, oh, we say the same thing.
I had no clue. So with that in mind, how has growing up in a faith community or in your background, how has that shaped you now? Or do you, when you look back on it, do you believe that that was some of the thing that really grounded you for what you do now?
Absolutely. But I think mainly how it shaped me to now is that, one, I look at this job, as most people look at it, or occupation, as a calling. I don't view it as, okay, yes, to get to where I am, people have to elect me. Yes, I have to win that election or have to be appointed to it. But at the end of the day, I truly believe that there is a spiritual basis behind it, that I'm supposed to be in this space and I'm supposed to be in this seat to do certain things, whatever that may be at that time, whatever God has anointed my hands and my mouth to do at that point. And so I truly believe that. And so every time I have a case, or if I'm going down to court, I have Micah 6:8 on my wall. I'm supposed to do justice. I'm supposed to do that. I'm supposed to have mercy. I'm supposed to, walk humbly and act in love. Like I believe that. And that's been, even when I look at running for the office, that's a lot of what my message to folks were, is that, yes, I know what the law is. I went to law school. I've been a lawyer for 20 years. I know what all of that says. But even though you have knowledge of things, how you deliver it to people, how you explain it to folks, how you invite people into a space that they're uncomfortable in, it all means something. And I think that it's important to have people in those places, in those seats, that understand that every person that they encounter is a person, is a human being that's experiencing life. And how you operate or interact with them can kind of change the trajectory of where they're going. At least you hope it does, if it is something meaning they're going the wrong way. So that's kind of how I believe that my faith or my growing up in church has got me to this point. I probably haven't shared it with you, I don't think, but in 2014, I sent my family an email. I can't remember. It was an election, of course, an election year, and the district judges were all on the ballot. And I had always said I wanted to be a judge. Always said it. I went in that booth in 2014 and I actually wrote my name in, and I took a picture of it and voted for myself. Vote didn't count because I couldn't be a write-in candidate, but I did it just as symbolism. Took a picture of it, went back to work that day and typed an email to my family. My sisters, 4 of them, my dad, my mom, and my husband. And I said, I believe, Lord willing, in 4 years, my name will actually be on this ballot. Now, I have no idea how that's going to happen because I don't have any money. I don't know nobody. I ain't got no clout. These things all take a process. I said, I have no idea how that's going to happen. I said, but I truly believe. So I am asking you all to hold me to this. I'm asking you all to pray me through this. If this is what God's will, I truly believe that it is, then I need y'all to be there for me. So I did that in 2014. So in 2018, when I was really on the ballot, I was like, oh my God. And it's so funny. And I say that just because, of course, people are like, oh, well, you told yourself you were going to be. But if you all truly understood the decision, 2017, my grandmother passed away. My dad was diagnosed with cancer in October of 2017. I already had a really good friend who had already had announced, and she'd already filed to run. And I'm still like, I can't run because all of these things are now hindrances to me actually doing this. And, me and Danny sat down, my husband, we sat down and we did the whole little SWOT analysis of whether we should or we shouldn't. And at the end of the day, I went down to Atlanta with my dad for Thanksgiving that year. He called everybody. He wanted us there for Thanksgiving. And he was just like, if you believe that this is what you're supposed to do, he says, don't worry about me. He said, I'm going to be all right. Don't worry about this. He says, you just need to do it. And I was like, but Daddy, I ain't got no money. He said, it's all right. We're just going to do it. And so that year I filed to run on my birthday, December 27th, 2017. And so all of that. And then at the time, we had 3 people in the race. So there was going to be a primary. So again, it's not a guarantee that my name is going to be in the ballot on November of 2018, because now I got to, but lo and behold, things shifted and happened. And there I am, November 2018, my name is on the ballot. So I truly believe all of those things, all of those journeys, all of those steps, those little things, it kind of points me, as the Bible says, God's going to direct your path, trust him, have, that he's going to. And so now I can say those words out of my mouth, but, it was a daily, God, I trust you.
I want to talk about, and other people pointed it out as well, the power of betting on yourself.
Oh.
That's all I heard. I didn't hear nothing that she said. All I heard was, I'm a bet on me.
You know what? And you probably went back and looked at my Facebook post. No, I'm joking.
But I am a good interviewer.
Yeah, you are. You are. And the reason I say this is because, and you wouldn't believe this, but again, I think around August or September, and this is just the craziest thing about life. August of September, Melissa Fredericks, Miss Kev on Stage, she did a whole Facebook Live, and it was entitled Betting on Yourself. And it had 4 different points, and she was talking about, I think at that time is when she was leaving her full-time job to kind of go into entrepreneurship with her husband, Kevin Fredericks. And so she was just kind of like, and mind you, I didn't really follow Kev on Stage like that. It just happened to come up in one of those like video feeds, and I was watching it, and I sat in my office. I was working at the Urban County government at the time, and I cried like a baby. And I wrote a little Post-it note on my calendar that was on my desk, betting on yourself. And I wrote down the little 4 points that she put on there, and I had it, and I said, I think this is what I'm supposed to do. So I know the race was coming. At the time, I thought that one judge was actually going to be the judge that was retiring. I get a phone call from Judge Megan Thornton that says, I'm calling everyone. I'm not just singling you out, but I just want you to know I'm not running for re-election. And so I now have watched this video about betting on myself. I get this phone call, and then of course all heck breaks loose. Grandmother dies, my daddy gets sick, and I'm like, but that's all I kept hearing, is that I needed to do this for myself. Hence the reason that I went and filed on my birthday. I was like, this is going to be...
there's so many things. It's just so many things. Not just betting on yourself, but even when you said, I think this is what I'm supposed to do, even when you wrote your name in there, no one voted for you, but it was something that counted for you. All those things, of course, they merge and hint on faith, but for those who are not believers who are watching, just the...
We offer Christ to you.
Dialogue. I don't know what you said. What you say?
I said we offer Christ to you.
For those of you who don't, being that this is a podcast, it's for all listeners and viewers.
It is.
But I think of just that inner, how the conversation you have with yourself is so important.
Yes.
And if I were to use scripture, which I'm just alluding to for those of you who haven't read in the last 60 years, when it talks about when the woman who had the issue was what she said to herself, and that you had a conversation with yourself. I mean, that is so powerful to me that you wrote your name in. And I'm not saying for those people it's not that big of a deal, but there's so many people who don't write themselves in it's in essence, it reminds me of someone I interviewed one time before that she said, I didn't see a door, so I built one. You don't see your name, so I write my name in. They just don't know me.
Right.
So
they just don't know me yet.
Someone didn't think to write me in because they don't know me. That is so powerful.
When you said it's not that big a deal, it really is the conversations you have with yourself. And I, people see the Judge Melissa now. But I promise you, to get to that point, it was several days of insistent conversation to myself saying, you can do this. Because as much as I had a great support, very, very strong team as far as friends from law school, my family, everybody, they were just just there. But at the end of the day, this was my name on the ballot, and it was my dream. So I needed to be the one that was going to do the work. Do it until, my feet had blisters on it. Like, we were, the day before the election, we were still knocking on doors and leaving, pamphlets and stuff. And it was until it was November, so it got dark sooner. So it was like 6, 7 o'clock at night, and we're still leaving things, and just walking every neighborhood and making sure I left it all out there. Me and my husband actually just talked about that the other day, is that a lot of people they did not give me a chance to win that race at all. And to be honest, I didn't win the race, but I lost by 2,000 votes. And in political terms, that was a big deal, because I was running against someone that had a name. His mother was a judge previously. He's born and raised in Lexington, and he had run before. And so everybody just knew. I was like, oh, he's going to win in a landslide. But that's not what happened. And therefore, that, as we know now, is what set me up to be able to run in 2020 unopposed. If I don't do 2018, there is no 2020. And so the conversations that you have with yourself, you can't see it right then. You can't even fathom it. And so I was listening to this song, and honestly, it's been sung by a whole bunch of different folks, but, and it was like, things are better your way, God. Like, the way he kind of orchestrated things ended up a whole lot better. Me running unopposed, yes, that's better. But that was never in my thought that could possibly happen. When I filed again to run in 2019 because a seat had opened up, I was ready. I was like, hit me with your best shot. There's going to be 5, 6 people coming in. And I came in gangbusters. I was like, okay, that's cool. When I think about it now, it's just hilarious. The conversations, they were like, well, such and such said they might run. I was like, cool. Hope they know they're going to lose. I was overconfident. I was ready. But that's how I operated. Like, I had my kickoff. People were like, oh, you don't have a kickoff around the holidays because no one's going to come and no one's going to give because it's the holidays. I had a kickoff December, the 9th. And we raised $20,000 for my camp. I was coming into this with, even if somebody's coming, I know I'm supposed to be on that bench. So I'm going to work as hard as I need to get there. And so it definitely has to be conversations that you have with yourself, because you have to do it.
Are having conversations with themselves, but they're talking themselves out of and not into. Mm-hmm. Like, listing all the reasons why I can't, why I'm not qualified. And there are a lot of people who, when you said you were running against someone who had ran before, had a history of, being in it or whatever. And some people have that conversation to say, the odds are always in my favor. Not always against me. Right. The odds are always stacked against me. That's why I can never get ahead. But then there's another people that say, the odds have always been against me. That's why I'm going to move forward. And that's why I'm going to do it. And
in that situation was so funny. We did, like I said, me and Danny did our little SWOT analysis. We had our strengths and our weaknesses and opportunities and threats, and we did all that. And there was never, the strengths never outwon the weaknesses. The threats always were more than the opportunities. We definitely were coming in the negative. There was never a time when we did it that the scales looked as if we should do this. And so it honestly had to be a strategic and straight conversations, we're doing this. And once I signed the papers and said I'm doing it, then it was like, all right, let's go. And maybe that was, my pride kicking in, because I'm like, I don't want to go out here looking a fool. But it was also, I'm like, it was, I called Angel. I remember, called my sister in January, and I am boohoo snotting crying in the Chick-fil-A drive-thru. And she's like, what is wrong? I was like, I don't know how to raise any money. She's like, okay, we can fix that. And I was like, no, I don't know. And when I tell y'all I'm crying so hard, she's thinking something has happened major, somebody's hurt. And I was just like, this is not going to work out. Mind you, I didn't already filed. So she's like, no, this is what we're going to do. And so we came up with the most basic of plans. But at the end of the day, I raised just about the same amount of money that my opponent raised. So So
I want to know. So I could stay on that forever. I could ride that until the wheels fall off. But I'm going to come out of it. I want to know who in your family or your just growing up, whether it was a teacher or whatever, that you saw that had that type of, I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to go after it. Of course, naturally, when I think of your mom, I think of Mama Dorothy. I just think of someone who has always had her own path. She has always, when I think of all of y'all, there's no reason why you all should not be successful in your own lanes, because she was so ahead of the curve in so many areas. Like, she was just always, shout out to Mama Dorothy. Hi. But other than her.
I was about to say, I don't have an other than her.
And it might be, I was just grasping.
Honestly, when you're thinking, I had some great teachers. I really did. But when I was in school, I was always that book nerd. Like, as my sisters always says, I had a whole lot of book sense, no common sense. That's what they've said to me my whole life. And so I always won all the little academic awards and that kind of stuff. So it wasn't really necessary for teachers to really push me. I wish they would have pushed me more, honestly, but because I was always I'm going to get straight A's because that's just what I do. So I didn't really have a teacher that kind of looked deeper into me. So it really was my mom. And I was sitting there trying to think of somebody to say other than her but honestly, my mother, hindsight, of course, is 20/20. Living through it, I don't think that I saw how much of the sacrifice and how much she was just like this truly dynamic woman. But having now, as we're older and we're kind of hearing her story of growing up, and I can't even say poverty because it was kind of below poverty. Just that, and how she has become who she's become. It's kind of crazy to me. Like, it is. It truly is like, how does this happen?
Because to me, when I think of her, she is for those of you who don't know her, get to know her. If I think of anybody who I wish had a social media page, who just went live, it would be her. But that's true, though. She is the epitome of betting on yourself.
Oh my goodness, yes.
She is like, before there was serial entrepreneurship,
that's her.
That we defined as that I'm a serial entrepreneur. Yep. Like, she probably invented it. Like, she has bet on herself.
Every time.
As I can ever
Every
remember.
time. And it's been, again, as a child going through it, that's not what I didn't see that. I was just like, oh my God, we're moving again, or we're this. But as an adult, I'm grateful because she did put into all of my sisters kind of some resiliency and tenacity that I don't think I would have if I was raised by someone else. She, coupled like really funny stories. So when we were younger, we would dress up really nice and go look at houses. And these were houses at that time that were like, $200,000 houses and things like that. So for us, that was like, fancy. Like, we got put on white gloves when we in here. But now, I'm serious. That's how we felt. Like, we put on Sunday's best because that's not where we lived. Like, we didn't live in that. And but that was always her vision, is that, but we will, and we will surpass that. And we have. And then just thinking, it's just kind of, she has always, and when she puts her mind to something, it's going to happen. The timing may not happen when you want it, but it will. So right now, this woman who is 71 years old, and mind you, I won't get in trouble for that because she tells everybody. We'll be in the nail shop this past weekend. She says, I'm 71 and she's 45 and I'm like, Mama, everybody don't need to know all our business. But she's 71 and she is a student at the University of Kentucky. She has taken she's been full-time these last 3 semesters. She also works full-time, but she will graduate with her undergraduate degree this coming May. And when I tell you somebody is going to dance across the stage,
she will.
She's going to cut a step. I'm going to call Dr. Capilouto in advance and say, just scooch on over and just let her have her piece. because this has been a desire of hers. All of her children have now graduated from, community college or from college in, graduate degrees. And that has always been the one thing that she's wanted. And, she never finished high school. She got a GED, and that's all she ever wanted. She says, I want to graduate from the University of Kentucky. And so at 71, she came back to Lexington, and me and her talked. She says, there's this little program that I can get into for older people. But that has, my mother honestly has been, it's so exciting. Like we're going to do it up. We're going to have a party because this has been a dream of hers. But that is the type of woman that has raised us. And I'm probably, of all of my sisters, which is probably weird to say, I'm the one that's probably doubts the most of, can I do it? Which is kind of crazy because I probably have done some really good things, but I really am like, I don't know. But it is always, my mom's like, oh yes. Like during that campaign year, my mother called me every morning and we prayed every single morning. Once I told her that I was having so many issues of self-doubt and stuff, she says, oh, we can fix that. And that's just been who she is. And it's,
I know. I'm not doing it. I refuse to do the Oprah cry. I refuse.
Now, my mom is pretty.
It excites me, not just about her. Let me get myself together. Because there's so many people, not just who bet on themselves, not who just don't write their name in, but there's some people who put a cap on their growth. This is as far as I can go because I didn't have, because I didn't do. I'm just gonna sit back and just support everybody who comes after me, and I'm gonna let them. But for her to say, but I'm gonna come back around to me. I want to do this, and doesn't matter how old I am. And she will listen, y'all.
If you knew her,
know anybody, listen, y'all. If I know anybody who's gonna dance, before y'all little whippersnappers, y'all little children, y'all be doing y'all's little dance. No.
Mama came in the doors.
You have not seen her dance.
You have not.
That woman is going. I am there for that. I want it to go viral. I want it everywhere. That woman is going to dance.
She's going to.
And but she deserves.
She deserves to, and I want her to. I want her to be.
Years old.
It has been the funniest things because the classes that she's taking, we take for granted because we were learning it. But again, my mom got her GED. She and this is the other thing, and Angel did kind of a mommy confessions with my mom, and where she kind of sat down and went through her story. But my mother had to stop going to school when she was growing up in North Carolina, about 12, 13-ish, or 11. But for the most part, when she went to school, she only went to school if it was raining, because they couldn't work in the field when it was raining. So when you think about it, like honestly, she was praying for rain most of the days because she loved going to school. But she lived in North Carolina, so that was few and far between. So if it was pretty outside, they were home and they were picking cotton for 3 cents a pound. That's the life that she grew up in. And so that was always her thing, is that she wanted to go to school so bad, but she missed, we calculated it up. She missed probably what I think an instructional year is 170 days in school terms. My mom missed probably 80 to 90 days of school every school year. But she was still smart enough to be able to do math in her head and all of these things as she got older. When she took her GED test in Baltimore, she was the first person just to be able to pass it on the first time. She went and studied once and passed it. And
I don't have that gift.
And that's the thing, is that when I think about that, it breaks my heart, because I realize how brilliant my mother was. Like, I'm like, my mom was a hidden figure before there was, as a hidden figure. Like she had that capacity, but because of the life that she had, and she just wasn't given that. But she never let that define her. And so it's interesting to say that, because so often we do, like you said, we put the cap and say, well, my time has passed. I'm done. Or these are the cards I've been dealt, so it's never going to work out for me. And that's just not the life I grew up in. My mama, she's like, oh no, we finished. It's not, you may not finish the way you thought you were going to finish, But we gonna finish
I
this.
just love it. I love, as they say, we love to see it.
Yeah.
I love it. Because I think of, Cicely Tyson, who came out with her autobiography at 90 something.
Yeah.
Mariah was still writing at 80 something. They're just like, I'm gonna do this, then I'm gonna leave.
Right?
You just don't stop.
You don't stop. Right.
So. This is just so good. This is so good. I'm gonna watch it myself. I'm gonna go back and have some commentary on top of it. Like, now that part right there. So, the power of sisterhood. How has sisterhood been for you? Not just with your natural sisters, but you are also, a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, member of the Divine Nine,
yes,
which I'm a part of. So
yes,
grateful to have you here. What has sisterhood meant for you? You talked about community and having a great support system. What has sisterhood meant?
Well, I have no brothers, so that's how you have to frame that, and therefore, the first thing is that sisterhood and womanhood for me has been, there is nothing that we can't do. Growing up, there was 4 of us. I have a younger sister, Angel, and then there's Daisy and Jackie ahead of me, and my mom. And so we have moved refrigerators, we have moved pianos, we have moved the heaviest of things that, like, and I use that just very, off the cuff, but that is what it reminds me, is that there's nothing that we can't do if we can do it together. And my sisters have always, that is, now we get mad at each other and we don't talk to each other for maybe a week. But then we call them like, what you doing, girl? Yep. I just got home.
Nobody apologizes.
Ain't nobody apologizing about nothing. And we just move on like nothing happened. We talk about each other to the other one. Girl, did you talk to such and such? I'm going to tell you, this is what she going to say. But that ain't really what happened. And then we have a group FaceTime.
I would say included in that one time. I'm so grateful. For those of you who don't know, we have known each other for a very, very long time.
Since you were 16?
I talk, many of you know, the Angel is one of my dear best friends. But the entire family, when I became friends with Angel, I became friends with the entire family.
Because that's how we are.
Yeah, it wasn't just one. I remember when I became friends with Angel, each one of y'all pulled me aside. I had a conversation. Daisy had a conversation with Melissa. I don't know if I had a conversation with Jackie. I had a conversation with everybody. Did I? I think I might have one time. You're Mario. But and then of course, Mama Dorothy. It was a conversation like, state your intentions. Who are you? Who are you? I mean,
that's pretty much it. Yes.
It was like an interview, a process of initiation. So all these years later, since 16, I'm still in there. Still in there.
He's still there. He passed all the tests. Now he and that's also, as I say, I am the master of grudge holders. There is a woman that we went to church with that said something about my sister when she went to her prom. My sister is going to be 42 this year. And to this day, if I saw that woman, I'd speak. Pray for me, y'all. Pray for me. No, I say that, but that's how much I love my sisters. We have a true bond that is, I can't even imagine if we had brothers. I'd be like, y'all don't even fit. Y'all just gonna have to sit over here. But as it relates to my sorority sisters, it's the same. We are there for each other, and I think it transcends not even just sorority. My Sands, there was 13 of us on the line, and we all know each other. We have a group text that we all, talk to each other. What we're doing actually this year, celebrating 25 years in Delta. Yeah. I'm so excited about that. So we're planning our trip now. But even when I was in law school, I was talking about this the other day. There were 5 black women in my graduating class. We started off with 5 and we ended with 5. But the big thing about it is that we made sure that we ended with 5. I had my son when I was in law school, my oldest, and I was pretty much single mom while I was there. They would see the stroller outside of my evidence class or my criminal procedure class, and they tap on the door, look up there, and it's like, bring us the baby. Because they knew I'm trying to be in there taking notes with a bottle and all this other stuff. But that's what sisterhood means, is that we're going to be there for you, and we're going to make sure that you get to the next thing that you're supposed to get to, even if that means that we're pushing you, if that means we're pulling you, if we're surrounding you. That's honestly what sisterhood has meant to me, and I am just completely indebted to the women that are in my life, especially my biological sisters. They're pretty amazing. They really are.
So what has it meant for you to balance authority, being a respected, when you sit in the seat, they're looking to you for their life's direction. Like my future is in her hands, and then, that balance of going into faith communities and all that, and how is that, how has that been to balance the two?
I will say I'm still learning. I mean, I've been there for 2 years, and my new thing that I'm working on, I was having a conversation the other day. I probably need to take a break and just breathe, but I have an issue, and I'm working through it. I have a counselor that I feel like I need to always be doing. I feel like I need to always be accomplishing. That's not healthy all the time. We're all working on things like that. But myself and a colleague, we started a juvenile treatment court, which is focusing on the mental health of some of our young people that are court connected, meaning under 18 in juvenile court. And we're hoping that this will be beneficial and it'll help our community, because we're looking at a lot of things that are happening, but a lot of that is happening because of the trauma that our kids have dealt with, and we've just never addressed it. But my next thing is talking about the secondary trauma that folks like myself and prosecutors and police officers and social workers deal with by being in the court system, the things that we see, we hear, and those type of things. And so when you're thinking about the balance, when you were talking about that, I sit in this seat and, take, for example, I had juvenile court the other day, and I'm having a conversation with a young man, and one of his things is that he can't stop smoking weed. And the reason he won't stop smoking weed is because it's the only thing that regulates his mind. And I will never forget those words. And so for me, I am tormented because I'm like, what is it that I can do to help this kid? So balancing that and trying to say, okay, that's a case that's in front of you. But I'm like, but that's a kid and that's a person. So, trying to be sure that I'm not taking it all back home. And then you flip, and then I'm going to church, and being in the community and making sure people understand, no, I can't talk to you about your kid's case. Actually happened the other day. They saw me at the basketball game, and they were like, I just saw you this morning. I was like, did we? Because I want people to understand that I also protect the confidentiality. I protect the integrity. When I see y'all out in the street, my Facebook friends, don't inbox me about your case. I literally, I have a case, I instantly delete it, because I don't want it to be viewed. One, I want people to trust our system. It's very painful for me, especially the last couple of years, because, and I'll be honest, our system was never designed for Black folks. I mean, let's be honest. And so, but this is what I've chosen to be in. So how do I make it better? And how do I get my community to trust it, and be a part of it, and also be treated fairly? And so those are all things, that I...
So how do you unwind when you get to unwind? If you can say that on the podcast. I don't know.
Honestly, so of course these last couple of years, since I've been on the bench, we've been on a pandemic. I've not been in court without there being a global pandemic. I was appointed in April of 2020. So when I started court, there were no people in the courtroom. Everything was by Zoom. So we have now gone back to in person, but it's not normal. Like, it's still not normal. There's still things that we do that are different. And I say all that to say is that during that time, I had the opportunity and the privilege, and I used to tell our praise team leader and choir director, don't kick me out of the group. That was my go-to was being able to sing. Right before the pandemic, I joined a band. I know, and we ain't singing church music either, Mario. Shoot, no.
But Let me find out.
But it was, and there's a bunch of lawyers that are playing in a band.
Really?
And that has been the most cathartic.
I didn't know.
We did Thursday Night Live. We did.
Yeah, singing Meg Thee Stallion.
I did a little bit of Tina and some Very Superstitious. Stevie, yeah, I was ready. But yeah,
It sounds fun.
it has been, and so I say that to say that I started in college as a vocal music major. Realized I couldn't play the piano, so they kicked me out. And I just said, okay, I'm just going to read these books because I know I'm going to law school anyway. Thank you, but no thank you. But that has been kind of the go-to is singing and the arts and things to relieve that way. I'm trying to do more exercise. Not on your level. Mm-hmm.
You keep trying. We said 5 o'clock in the morning, 6, and you said that he doesn't speak to me.
No, the Lord's not speaking to me to work any muscle at 5 or 6 in the morning. That's just not of God.
It's funny. Every time I see your sister, Daisy, yes. Usually I'm ending, she's coming in, or I'm getting in my car and she's driving in. And usually we don't even say anything to each other every time. It's just a look. Just a nod. Just like she'll be like, I can tell how hard the workout is by the look on your face when you walk out there. Sometimes I'll say something. Sometimes I'll be like, I almost want to like, don't do it. Yeah, and I'm not on y'all's level. I'm just doing my own little workouts at the good YMCA. Just go over and get on my little treadmill. And I run a little bit, run for 10 minutes, and then I walk for 10. But I realize I got to start taking care of my health too. You know, not only mental health, but my physical health, because it does. It all will play on you. But that's kind of what I do. But you said downtime. I don't know that I necessarily have it, and I'm trying to do better about creating that, though. Yeah, I have some shows that I watch, and sometimes I don't even. Yeah, I'll say that I watch shows a lot of times because I was raised in a very strict. I remember one time my dad, I won't say strict, I was so churched, for those of you who haven't figured that out by now. My friend of mine gave me, I had a beatbox and boombox, and he gave me Brian McKnight's, what was it, Brian McKnight's I Remember When. It was like all this stuff. It was great. So all this, yes. Yes, all this stuff. Anytime. All this stuff. Anyhow, so I was listening to it. My dad's office was on the other side of my room while I was listening to it, trying to go to sleep. Dad said, open the door. What are you listening to? I said, Brian McKnight. He said, is he a gospel artist? I said, no. He said, that there is a holy boombox. He said, he turned at me and I told him who I got it from. Well, he shouldn't be listening to it either. He's actually a preacher. He's a teenage preacher. He shouldn't be listening to it either. So a lot of the stuff that I watch often is for entertainment because I didn't grow up with it. So it's mindless TV to get my mind off of. I don't have to fix it. I don't have to control it. I don't have to do anything. I just watch it and be like, I didn't grow up in that. Yeah, like Jordan Peele's coming out with that show. Nope, I'm not watching that. I don't watch any of that stuff. And mind you, they call me Scary Spice because I'm scared of everything and I never watch anything scary. But I think my TV is for entertainment. Like none of that entertains me. It does. I'm like, people who really have spirits. I was like, no, I'm okay. No, I'm gonna go ahead and watch this Real Housewives of Potomac in Atlanta. So with all the different things, to wrap it up, all the different things that you're doing in the community and being appointed to different boards and stuff. Mom graduated in 71, sister's doing different things. You wrote yourself in. At this stage or the next 10 years or 20 years, what do you see that you haven't done or that you are still writing yourself in? Oh, my goodness. Well, I don't know if I'm supposed to announce that here. Well, you don't have to make an announcement. No, because I'm thinking there's a couple different paths of where I believe. So I have to run every 4 years. Technically, I'm hoping to have that seat as long as the voters of Fayette County will let me have it. But my sister is doing amazing work in California. So one path or one thing I'm going to do is I'm going back to school.
and I'm going to get my LLM, meaning kind of your lawyer's master's degree in entertainment law, so I can represent her and help her keep pushing her and fulfill her dreams. But I do know that I still have a bit of a political itch. I don't like where we are in our nation and kind of the divide, but I will say if you would have asked me in 2017, 2018, I could see myself running for the United States Senate. But my dream job is that I don't want to be on the United States Supreme Court, but I would like to be appointed to a federal seat, judiciary. So if President Joe and whomever comes after wants to call me or put me on the list, I'll take it. But those are the things that are out there that I still see that are big dreams that I would like to fulfill and like to accomplish. But again, I would like to say that I love being where I am now. And I'm trying to live in that moment. As I drive into work every day and pull into my little parking spot, I still pinch myself. I'm like, oh my goodness, I get to do this.
I don't know if it was an interview with Oprah or someone where she said, she was talking to someone that was talking about how you have to allow yourself to be in the moment. Mm-hmm. Like, stop rushing past it. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're on the red carpet, be on the red carpet. Or if you're wherever, like, to. And I think that was really good that you said that, because a lot of times we're so busy doing and in the pursuit that we don't stop to be like, I did this.
Yeah. It took me a bit to get there because I knew when I got appointed in 20 that I would have to run again in 22. Big hurrah, I'm running unopposed again. Thank you, Jesus. So I know I'm going to have my seat for another 4 years. So now I finally can be like, oh my goodness, I am here. And not here. So now what can I fix? No, I am actually here. And that's a self-talk. Like I got to tell myself, just be for a little bit. And that has been, I have enjoyed every minute of it. My husband said the other day, this is probably one of the first jobs. He says, you liked your other jobs. He says, but I can ultimately see that you love this job. And I do. Yeah. I do.
Speak to someone who's watching or listening that is scared to write their name in, to bet on themselves. What would you say?
There's lots of different colloquialisms that people say, and I think I heard one the other day. It's like, speak truth even if your voice shakes. And I would say that even when the balances or the scales look like you shouldn't, you have to know what's in you. And if you know that you know, then you have to take the chance on yourself. Because I believe that, just as you said, that someone said, there wasn't a door, so I made one. That as you begin to walk those steps, people are like, faith is you taking the step and the stairwells up here. Mm-hmm. I don't know that that's necessarily faith, but, but there's things that you have to do, and you have to do it. It can't be just the thought of it. It can't just be the speaking of it. You have to take the step to do it. And so whatever that may be for you, if that means start looking for a place to rent to open up your restaurant, start looking at Zillow, see what office space is out there. Just start making those lists of things, because it then trains your mind to begin thinking differently than what you were thinking before. So I truly believe that you have to take the moment just to say, I know I'm supposed to be at point B. I have no idea how I'm supposed to get to point B, but I'm going to take this one step and then continue and then continue. So.
Thank you for that. To that, I say blessed assurance.
Blessed assurance. In a good way. Blessed assurance.
Not in a negative way. That is really good. I hope that those of you who've been watching that you were really impacted and encouraged by that. I would ask you to say how people can follow you, but I don't want them to sit before you. So y'all just stretch your hands towards it.
I do have a Facebook page and an Instagram for my judicial page, and so I do post things that are relevant as it has to do with the court system. So you can find that MMM for judge. I think it's still how you find it, but
So y'all heard of MMM for judge. If you want to do that and be inspired, don't ever have to be in the seat that you have to sit before her, but follow her so you can be inspired. So, all right, y'all. Thank y'all for watching.